بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We've reached Makkah Mukarramah, and upon reaching Makkah Mukarramah we need to freshen up, check into the hotels, etc. And it's important that we rest, we eat. I know we're all in a hurry to get out of Ihram, to go to the Kaaba, to perform the Umrah. But you need to remember that it's not necessary to do everything immediately. And rather, the Umrah can be delayed. It can be delayed until a person is ready for the Umrah. Once a person is ready, then a person should go perform Umrah. Sometimes we have elderly people with us, sometimes we have young children with us. Sometimes you go at a time when it's peak heat or peak crowds. So at these times, don't hasten and perform the Umrah. Rather take your time. Look at the appropriate time. Everybody's rested, everybody's ready. Then we should go and perform the Umrah. If we need to eat, eat. If we need to sleep, sleep. If we need to have a quick bath, have a quick bath. We can do so as well, as long as we don't use any soap and shampoo, etc. That's fine as well. And then perform the Umrah. If we happen to delay the Umrah, we need to remember that we need to perform our Salat in the Masjid. That is separate from the Umrah. So if a person, for example, goes out Dhuhr time and he decides that, look, it's still too hot, after Asr is too busy as well, after Maghrib there's not much time, let's do Umrah after Isha. That doesn't mean a person will not go to the Haram and perform their Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. They'll go and perform their Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, etc. Similarly, if a person feels that, look, we can go and look at the Kaaba now, go and look at the Kaaba, make dua, etc. And then a person can perform the Umrah on a later time. So a person needs to remember that Umrah is separate, looking at the Kaaba is separate, performing your Salat is separate. And accordingly, a person will just juggle their time and set whatever they feel is appropriate. So when performing the Umrah now, unfortunately, there are a lot of different restrictions and many of the routes close and many of the doors close, etc. So we need to remember that, look, you can only be able to perform the Umrah when you're going through these two doors. If you don't go through these two doors and you try to go in any other doors, then you'll just be going round and round in circles. You won't know where you're heading, you'll get confused, and unfortunately people, they get frustrated as well. So in front of Darut Tawheed Intercontinental and in front of the clock towers, there's two separate entrances. One is the main Malik Fahad door and one is the Malik Abdul Aziz. So Malik Abdul Aziz door itself is closed, but there's a pathway which leads, when you go towards Malik Abdul Aziz, there's the pathway which leads you towards the side entrance, and from there you can go into the Mataf and go and perform your Umrah. So you just need to keep this in mind. When entering the masjid, we'll enter according to the Sunnah method, recite the dua, Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah, Allahumma aghfir li dhanbi waftah li abwab rahmatik, wa Allahumma aftah li abwab rahmatik. Make niyyat of i'tikaf as well, whilst we're in the Masjid al-Haram. And thereafter, inshallah, we'll make our way towards the Mataf area, the place where Tawaf will take place. When we are entering, then we keep our gaze down, because the first gaze which will be put upon the Kaaba, that gaze and the dua which will be made then will be one of acceptance. So we keep our gaze down and we don't look up at this moment in time. Rather, with humbleness, humility, continue looking down and make our way down. We'll probably have to go down the set of escalators as well, or set of stairs, and go down those escalators, go down those stairs, and thereafter you'll be able to see that people are there doing tawaf. Like even when you're looking down, you can see a little bit ahead of you. So people will be there in the main open area doing the tawaf. So you need not go into that at this moment in time. Rather, find another secluded, comfortable place outside of that and stop there, and then raise your gaze and look at the Kaaba. When you look at the Kaaba, at that moment you recite Allahu Akbar And La ilaha illallah 3 times. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. And then there are other du'as that can also be recited as well. Allahumma zid hadha al-bayt sharafan wa takriman wa mahabatan. These du'as can be recited, they're inside the books as well. A person should try and recite these du'as. It's not necessary, but they can do. And thereafter, make as much du'a as you can from the bottom of your heart, for yourself, for the goodness of this world, for the goodness of the hereafter, and for the Muslim Ummah as well. The Muslim Ummah is in need of du'as, and it is an important moment for du'a and a moment of acceptance of du'as. So remember to make du'a for the Muslim Ummah, and also I request also to make du'a for me as well, and my parents, my teachers, etc. And inshallah, will be very much appreciated, inshallah. So now we've made our dua, we stood there making our dua. Now once we've done our dua, now we need to start our tawaf. Because we're just generally going according to that, straight after dua we're going for our tawaf. So, Umrah, now understanding the Umrah, main 4 components. We have 2 farz, which is the ihram, which we're already in. And then we've got your tawaf, which we are about to do now. Thereafter we've got sa'i, which will take place after the umrah, after the tawaf rather, and thereafter we will need to do the halaq or the qasam, shaving the head, trimming the hair, etc. So this is the entire umrah. So we've done part 1, now we've got the 3 things left: tawaf, sa'i, halaq. These 3 remain. So before we go, obviously we need to have a look and have a bit of an understanding of the setup and the features of the Ka'batullah. So we've got obviously here it's not bright enough, but you've got a black stone there, and then next to the black stone you've got the multazam, and then in front of the multazam here you can see that a sign with the Maqam Ibrahim. Then you've got the Hatim area, which is also known as the Hijr Ismail, and thereafter you've got the other corners. So you've got the Iraqi corner, you've got the Shami corner, that's towards Iraq, that's towards Sham, and then you've got the corner before the Hajar al-Aswad corner, which is the Yamani corner, which is facing towards Yemen. So these are the 4 corners and the main features of the Ka'batullah. It is important that we understand this, because there will be certain parts where we need to recite certain du'as, etc. So preparing for tawaf, we need to be in a state of wudu. Just as we need wudu for salat, we need wudu for tawaf. We cannot perform salat without wudu. If our wudu breaks during salat, we'll go and we'll perform wudu again, and namaz will commence, etc. again. So certain rules like this will apply according to with the tawaf as well. And along with this, because we are now we're at the Ka'batullah, we still haven't actually started our tawaf, we haven't actually come to the actual Kaaba itself and made the istilam and started it. So we will continue with our labbaik. Labbaik, we've started from the airport, from as soon as we sat into the plane. And labbaik, as I said, needs to be read as much as possible. You stand up, read labbaik. You sit down, read labbaik. You meet somebody, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And then ask, what's your name, where are you from? You know, anything, every moment you're getting off the plane, getting onto the plane, getting into the car, getting out of the car, all the time, labbaik, labbaik, labbaik. And with this zeal that, Ya Allah, I'm coming, oh Allah, I'm coming now, I'm getting closer, I'm getting closer, I'm getting closer. So now we've got the Ka'batullah, so now we need to now start the tawaf. So until then, we will continue with our labbaik and our talbiyah. And we need to commence our tawaf from the Hajar al-Aswad, from the black stone. And therefore, we need to locate the Hajar al-Aswad. And in the tawaf also, as mentioned yesterday, that we will wear our ihram in a manner that our right hand shoulder shall be uncovered and our left shoulder will remain covered. So that is called irtiba. That is called iltiba. So we need to set. So up until now we've had our both of our shoulders covered. Now we will open our right shoulder and put it underneath and uncover our right shoulder, and thereafter flick the other side of the ihram upon our left shoulder, and we will now make our way towards the mataf area, and we will try to find the Hajar al-Aswad. So the Hajar al-Aswad is over here. This was the multazam, and next to the multazam is the Hajar al-Aswad. Opposite the Hajar al-Aswad, you'll see a green light. It doesn't look very green here, but it'll be green over there. So this is the green light. There's a green light here. This is the bottom floor. You go upstairs. Where are we? Where's it gone? Here. Okay, if you go upstairs, you'll see here it says start of tawaf. Here. And there'll be a green light here as well on that floor. On this floor also, there's that green there. You can very slightly see it. It says start of tawaf here as well, and the green light will be there. So that's where our tawaf will commence. When we get into the haram, the clock tower, because that's the most prominent building around the haram, so the clock tower will be on this side here. So if you're coming in from Malik Abdul Aziz, then here will be Malik Abdul Aziz. So you'll come down these steps over here, the escalators over here, and you'll see on your left hand side the clock tower over here. If you're coming from Malik Fahd, then Malik Fahd is basically over just a bit towards the right. So here will be Malik Fahd, and then when you come in and you look up, you'll see the clock tower. So this is the way you need to make your way towards. So obviously everybody is going in one specific direction, which is anti-clockwise direction. So you'll just follow the crowd and try to locate that green light. Once you locate the green light, then you know that opposite the green light is going to be the Hajar al-Aswad, and I need to commence my tawaf from that particular position. So now we make our way. Now making intention that I am making my tawaf for Umrah, and we will now stop our talbiyah, and we will stand opposite the Hajar al-Aswad. So we've come to the green light. So let's say here is the green light, and we'll come and we'll stop. And we'll stand in front of the green light. Say that is the Hajar al-Aswad. Here is the green light. We'll stand with our right shoulder in line with the Hajar al-Aswad, and we'll make the intention, and then we'll commence our tawaf by making istilam. We'll commence our tawaf by making istilam. What is istilam? Istilam, to make istilam, what we need to do is we'll face directly Hajar al-Aswad. After directly facing Hajar al-Aswad, we need to remember there's two parts to the istilam. The first part is to start the tawaf. Just as we start namaz, what do we do when we start namaz? We raise our hands to our ears and we say, Allahu Akbar. So similarly, we'll raise our hands to our ears, facing the Hajar al-Aswad. We'll raise our hands towards the ears, and thereafter we'll recite the dua, Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. And then we'll drop our hands. That's now our tawaf started. But we've not started our actual walking. Before every circuit that we start, there's 7 circuits which make one tawaf. So before every circuit that we start, we will need to now make an istilam again. So the first istilam was just now to start the salat, or to start the tawaf as such. And now every circuit that we will actually start, so just as we start that and then we say thana, and then we start ta'awuz, tasmiyah, surah Fatiha at the beginning of each rakat. So similarly, we'll need to do the istilam to start every single circuit of the tawaf. And for that, we'll raise our hands not up to our ears, rather up to the height of the Hajar al-Aswad. Okay, so the Hajar al-Aswad generally is around chest height. So we'll raise our hands not to our ears, but rather our chest. And then we'll recite the dua, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. And then we'll peck our palms and then now we have done the istilam, so now we will need to start our walking on our tawaf. So we need to stand firstly with our right shoulder in line with the Hajar al-Aswad. We've done our istaba and we've uncovered our right hand shoulder, our left hand shoulder, and no, our right hand shoulder has been covered and our uncovered, and the left has been covered. And thereafter we've made our intention. Then we need to move across in front of the Hajar al-Aswad, and then we'll raise our hands up until our ears, and then we'll recite the dua, and thereafter we'll drop our hands, and then we'll raise our hands up to the Hajar al-Aswad, which is around our chest height, and then recite the dua, peck our hands, and thereafter drop it, and thereafter we will commence our tawaf. When we need to commence our tawaf, what we need to be mindful of is that our left shoulder is facing Hajar al-Aswad, and our chest at no moment in time faces the Ka'batullah. So for this, what we need to understand is that we will immediately turn on our spot. Okay, so I'm facing the Hajar al-Aswad now. So now I need to start I've done my istilam, etc. I've done Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamdu, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I've done that. And now what I need to do is move on my position, on my spot. Not move like this. Move on my position. My left shoulder now is directly in line and parallel to the Kaaba. Now I will then start walking. If we walk like this, then our chest is facing the Kaaba, and therefore that bit of our tawaf is incomplete. So we need to ensure that we turn directly on our spot, and then we will start our tawaf. When we start the tawaf, one other thing which we need to be particular about for the male is we will need to do ramal. Ramal. What is ramal? Ramal is that we need to walk with our chest out, with our shoulders swaying as well. So we need to like a gladiator, like a henchman, like walking like this. Okay, and we need to walk taking strides, quick strides, in the first 3 rounds of our tawaf. This is only for men, not females. Only the males will do this. If there's a lot of a crowd, then try to make some space for yourself, slow down. Once you get a bit of space, then start. If you are unable to walk fast, then that's fine, but still have the chest out and the shoulders swaying and walking like you own the tawaf basically. That is ramal, and this was done by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. Very quickly I'll just mention it, because obviously this is a place of humility and humbleness, and now you're saying that you need to walk out with your chest out and act as if you own the place. Because when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba came back to Makkah Mukarramah, after leaving Makkah Mukarramah, after 7 years they came back and they came to Makkah from Medina Munawwara. Then their Quraysh, they started saying that, oh look, the Muslims have become weak and the climate of Medina Munawwara doesn't suit them, and they're not as strong as they were before. So that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to them that, look, walk like this and show that you're strong, show that you've got that power and you've got that energy. So that's why the Sahaba would walk like that. And then they looked and observed the Muslims and the Sahaba and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing the tawaf, and they looked for 3 rounds, and thereafter they said, okay, we've seen enough. They're still nice and strong. And then they went away. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, now have that humbleness and humility within you and walk in this manner. So that's why first 3 rounds we need to walk like that. So we start here, Hajar al-Aswad, and in the first 3 rounds, brisk walk, chest out, swaying the shoulders, going around the Hatim, because this is part of the Kaaba, Time does not permit to go into the details of this, but it is part of the Kaaba. We did cover it in our Seerah program of how it was part of the Kaaba. So go around the Hatim and then come round back this way. Where are we? I don't know. We're over here. So come round again this way, back to the starting point of Hajar al-Aswad. This is Rukn Yamani, and I'll come to this point right now. So in this manner, 3 fast, and then the remaining 4 normal walking, without any brisk and spring in your step, and chest out, rather with humbleness and humility. So what we need to be mindful of when doing our tawaf is the first thing which I've mentioned, is that our chest cannot face the Kaaba. Our shoulder at all times needs to be parallel with the Kaaba, needs to be in line with the Kaaba, not facing towards the Kaaba. Our back shouldn't be towards the Kaaba either. Another thing is we remain focused. We're here, we've come to the house of Allah. We're now reached the rahmah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to remain focused. And we need to think that Allah is showering me with His mercy. Allah is showering me with His grace. When a person just performs the tawaf of the Kaaba, then 80 rahmahs is being sent down upon this individual. So we perform our tawaf in this manner. Engage in dua, engage in any dhikr, any dua we can make, any dhikr we want to do, we can do. Third kalima is recommended whilst doing it, but anything, you can recite Durood Sharif, you can recite Istighfar, you can recite third kalima, fourth kalima, ala hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, whatever we want, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, etc. Whatever we wish to recite, we can recite it. You can even stipulate a certain dhikr for the different rounds, so that we know that we've got 7 rounds, I need to do these 7 zikrs. This is something we can do as well. A lot of people have certain du'as written down, that in the first round you do this, in the second round you do this. Takes away that spirit. One is when with your heart and your mind, yourself, you engage in some form of dhikr. And one is you just reading it parrot fashion, not understanding what you're saying. These du'as should be recited as well. But especially in your first tawaf, remain focused and just constantly making dua to Allah, and engaging in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no worldly talk, gaze lowered. Don't look here and there, what other people are doing. Some people, unfortunately, out of ignorance, do things which you're not supposed to do, etc. So, we start looking at them and saying, oh, look at this person, what he's doing. Oh, look at this person, what he's doing. Oh, look, they don't even know what they're doing, etc. And then a person gets these kind of thoughts, so abstain from that. Similarly, obviously, women, men, all mixed there as well. So unfortunately, ideally it should be as it was during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and which was also implemented during COVID time as well, that the men were on the inside and the women were on the outside. But unfortunately they don't implement that after COVID, and they've not implemented it before that as well, unfortunately, only during COVID time. But because of that, it's important that we keep our gaze lowered as well, so that we don't look at women, etc., and we keep our gazes safeguarded, and so much so that we shouldn't be even looking at the Ka'batullah. Just look down and continue walking until we know that, look, okay, I'm going past the clock tower now, which will mean now I'm coming towards the second to last corner, which will mean then now the green light will be coming. So now we keep a lookout for the green light, and then we'll start do another istilam on the second round, and then carry on. Then in this manner we do our tawaf. When we come to Rukn Yamani, then Rukn Yamani, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would make istilam of Rukn Yamani. And the method of that would be that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would touch the Rukn Yamani. So actually istilam should be that a person kisses the Hajar al-Aswad. If you can't kiss it, then he touches the Hajar al-Aswad. If you can't do that, then from far he puts his hands towards the Hajar al-Aswad and he kisses his hands. Obviously, doing the first 2 nowadays is out of the question, which is why we only mention the third one. Istilam of Rukn Yamani is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would touch it with both his hands like this. If not both the hands, then just touch it with one hand. And if you can't even do that, then you don't do anything. So in Hajar al-Aswad, if you can't touch it, then you do istilam with the hands. Of Rukn Yamani, if you can't touch it, you don't do anything and you just leave it. Okay? So that's one thing which you need to remember. Another thing is that you have a dua which needs to be recited at Rukn Yamani. This is found in the book and the virtue is there as well. At Rukn Yamani you recite Allahumma inni ala dhikrik wa shukrik wa husni ibadatik. This dua should be recited at that time. 70,000 angels will say Ameen upon your dua, inshallah. And then the remainder of the walk from Rukn Yamani until Hajj al-Aswad, the last leg of the circuit, of the first circuit, you will recite رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This is our sunnah du'as. It's not necessary that you have to recite. Obviously, there's virtue there and there's reward there. But if a person is doing dhikr, then, for example, he continues his dhikr. When he gets to that point, just recite the Allahumma inni ala dhikrik. Then, when he's walking that last leg, recite Rabbana Atina, half of the leg, and he continues with his dhikr if he wants. Or if he wants to just continue reciting Rabbana Atina and just do the dhikr on the remaining 3 legs, that's fine as well. And so he's come now to Hajar al-Aswad again. Then again he'll raise his hands, make istilam at Hajar al-Aswad, peck the palms, and continue. So in this way he's done now 7 rounds. When a person finishes his namaz, there's a way of finishing this namaz as well. He needs to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So similarly, when finishing the tawaf, a person will also make istilam again. So a person has the initial istilam right at the beginning. That's 1. Thereafter he has 1 at the beginning of each round. So that's 7. Plus that 1, 8. And then he has 1 right at the end to finish the tawaf now. So that will be 9. So there's 9 altogether. Only on the first one he'll raise it to his ears. All the others he'll raise it towards his chest height in facing the Al-Hajj al-Aswad. So and thereafter his tawaf is done. Because his tawaf is done, is there any need now to have the shoulders uncovered? No, because that's only for tawaf time. So as soon as he finishes his tawaf, he'll once again cover both of his shoulders and remove the istiba. And as he was wearing his ihram before, he will wear his ihram in that particular manner once again. Once he's done his tawaf, we need to remember after every tawaf that you do, you need to perform 2 rakats. After every tawaf you need to perform 2 rakats. These 2 rakats are wajib. And you need to perform them. Ideally, you will perform them behind Maqam Ibrahim. The tawaf generally reaches till Maqam Ibrahim, so you can't get to Maqam Ibrahim and perform namaz there. Some people will push and try to perform namaz there, and then they become a cause of hindrance for people doing tawaf. People fall upon them, people kick them, etc. So there's no need to go right up to Maqam Ibrahim and recite that. There'll be an area designated behind that further on. So you've got, for example, here's Maqam Ibrahim. Ideally, you should be reading it here, but people will be doing tawaf here. So what they've done now is, for example, towards where Brother Imran is, that area they'll cordon it off, and that area will only be now for salat. And people will be there performing salat. So you go inside there and you perform salat there. If there's no space there as well, then it's fine. You can perform these 2 rakats anywhere where you find space and just perform these 2 rakats. Ideally, perform these 2 rakats with Suratul Kafirun in the first rakat and Suratul Ikhlas in the second rakat. And after reciting these 2 rakats, we will make dua. We need to be mindful that it is not the time of makruh, meaning sunset, sunrise, or just before Zuhr time, before Zawal time. If it's not that time, then we'll recite these 2 rakats. If it is makruh time, then these 2 rakats will be delayed after. For example, you're doing your tawaf after Asr, and now after Asr we don't read any namaz. After Asr, we're not allowed to read any additional namazes until the time of Maghrib. So then he won't perform those 2 rakats until after Maghrib namaz. Once he's done this, then he'll go towards the back. Again, the Zamzam wells, the Zamzam taps, there's no well, it's been covered up now. The Zamzam taps are again in that direction behind you, behind Maqam Ibrahim, against the back walls. Make your way towards there, and Zamzam taps will be lined across the back. So you just go towards there and drink as much Zamzam as possible. When Zamzam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam states that Ma'u Zamzam lima shuriba lah, that whatever intention Zamzam is drunk for, that intention inshallah will be fulfilled. So make good intention, make good niyyah, have a good dua at that moment in time, and inshallah that intention and that dua shall be fulfilled. And many ulama have mentioned that I went to perform my Hajj, and at Zamzam I recited this dua, and alhamdulillah this dua has been accepted. And I recited this dua, and another alim says I did this dua and this dua was accepted. So let us try to make a good dua at that moment in time, and thereafter we recite the dua after of drinking Zamzam. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan wasi'a wa shifaa min kulli da'. And thereafter we'll try to make our way towards Multazam, which was the door, near the door of the Kaaba, and engage in dua there. It's not practical nowadays to do that, so after drinking Zamzam, just go, if you can, a little bit close. If not a little bit close, then wherever you are, just face the Ka'batullah, raise your hands and just make dua from there, because you'll be opposite the door of the Kaaba anyway. So because you can't actually get there, it won't be practical, there's too much of a crowd. So wherever you are, just at the back near the Zamzam taps, you'll be facing the Multazam anyway. Just stand there and make dua. And this is also a time of acceptance and a time where your du'as will be accepted. So make earnest dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that moment as well. So this is the door of the Kaaba. There is Al-Hajar al-Aswad. Now what people tend to think, this is the Multazam. The Multazam is actually this part. This is the area of Multazam between the door and the Al-Hajar al-Aswad, here. So people generally stand here. This is not, a person should stand here. If he can, ideally, put his right hand over here and then cling on to this area and then make dua. So this is Multazam. Multazam means the place of clinging, the place of attaching yourself. So you hold on to the bottom of the door, of the footstep over here with your right hand, and then cling yourself to this area and make dua. And that is the Multazam. But as I said, there'll be too much of a crowd here, so you won't be able to do that at this moment in time. If you get another opportunity any other time, then do it outside of your Umrah at that time, and otherwise just make your dua anywhere you may be. So this area here is the Multazam area, not this area. So just certain important masails in regards to your tawaf, that, as I mentioned previously, tahara, and a person needs to be in a state of wudu. What happens if your wudu breaks during your tawaf? So if your wudu breaks during your tawaf, then how much of your tawaf have you done? If you have not done 4 circuits, then because you haven't done most of your tawaf, the 7 circuits, so obviously half of it is 3.5, you can't classify 3.5, so you do 4. If you've done 4 circuits, that means you've done most of your tawaf. If you've done less than that, then you will need to restart your tawaf all over again. If you've done 4 or more than 4, 5, 6, then you'll do wudu, and after doing wudu you can just continue from the number that you've got left, and you won't need to restart your full tawaf again. If you break your wudu, then you can just do wudu with Zamzam, because if you're trying to go out of the haram, then you probably won't get back in. So if you happen to break your wudu whilst you're doing tawaf, then just do wudu with the Zamzam at the back, and then come back and just continue tawaf from where you have left off. If you forgot to do the ramal, if you forgot to run in your first 3 circuits, then there's nothing you can do now. It's gone, it's fine. You just carry on in the remaining 4, walking as usual. If whilst sometimes it happens that you've thought that there's enough time to do my tawaf, I've got around 45 minutes, no problem, inshallah, I'll be able to do my tawaf. You start your tawaf, but then the crowd is so much, or they start making the sufuf, etc. early, and they start blocking you off. So now you're unable to finish your tawaf, and now adhan takes place, jamaat is taking place. So what do you do now? So wherever you've got up till, stop there, perform your namaz there, and then after namaz, then you just continue tawaf from wherever you have left off. Okay, so sometimes it may happen that you stop your tawaf here. Okay, just stop over here. And then what happens is when the namaz starts, then you're moving in the surfs, etc., and you end up a little bit over there. So when you're starting your tawaf, then just move a little bit back again, back to where you were, and then just continue from where you left off. You don't need to do the full circuit again, just continue from exactly where you left off. And even if you get up straight after namaz, when people are still making their tasbihat and people are still making their dhikr, then you probably do like 2 rounds whilst people are just sitting there anyway. So it's quite a quick time to do your tawafs actually, whilst people are engaging their sunnats or engaging in their salatul janaza or zikr, etc. So that, as soon as namaz done, stand up and start walking again, and you'll probably get very quick rounds, like 3 minutes. You probably do 2-3 rounds. Starting the sa'i now. After tawaf, after zamzam, after dua, the 2 rakats that we prayed, we've not gone to the multazam, we've just made dua as close as we could do. And now there's only one thing left, actual action that we need to do as part of it within the haram, which is sa'i. For sa'i, to start the sa'i, we need to make istilam again of al-Hajar al-Aswad. Now sometimes this is kind of like difficult because you're over here and Hajar al-Aswad is in like that corner over there, and now you need to go that way to sa'i. Now you're going to walk against the crowd, go there. It sometimes can be quite difficult, but ideally you should be doing that, going back there, going to make istilam of the Hajar al-Aswad, and then making your way towards sa'i. If you forget, or if you feel like we can't go that way, it's too much of a crowd, no problem, then just carry on, go towards sa'i, and before you actually start your sa'i, when you come towards the Safa, then just from there make your istilam towards the Hajar al-Aswad and start your sa'i. So for sa'i is the running from Safa to Marwa. So Safa is a mountain, Marwa is another mountain, but these 2 mountains now are incorporated within the haram, and you can't actually see them as mountains, rather, and they are part of the actual haram itself. And so a person will just need to walk towards that particular area. There'll be signs there, al-mas'a, towards the mas'a. So you just head towards that direction. So it's generally be towards your right hand side after your zamzam drinking and the zamzam taps. You're making your intention of sa'i, you're ascending and going up towards Safa so that the Ka'batullah can be seen. So don't go up too high that you can't see the Kaaba, and don't stay too low down that you can't see the Kaaba. Go high enough so that you can see the Kaaba. Sometimes there's works taking place and they've got panels everywhere, so sometimes it might be that they blocked it off and you can't see the Kaaba, depending on what time you go, what works are taking place. But if you just basically go as much as you can and try to see the Kaaba, if there's no way you can see the Kaaba, there's nothing you can do, then just stand facing the Kaaba. But otherwise, try to go as much up as you can just to see the Kaaba. There's still a lot more you can go up. There's no need to go all the way up. And then going there, you recite the dua, Abda bima bada Allahu ta'ala bihi inna safa wal marwata min sha'airillah. You recite that, it's in the book, you can read it from there, which means that I am starting with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts in the Quran. Allah starts in the Safa wal Marwata. Allah starts with Safa before Marwa. So I am also starting my sa'i from Safa before Marwa. So Safa, as you can see here, bright, but Safa is basically on this side. Okay, so here is your Hajj over here. So you'll need to, before you get to Safa, try and get your istilam done before of the Hajar al-Aswad before you get to Safa, because after that it'll be a bit difficult. And this is actual Safa right now, so it's cordoned off, and this is all of the mountain that remains. Nothing else remains, everything else is within the haram and within the actual masjid now and the building. Once you're on Safa, so you face the Qibla, and so we've done the istilam, we've come on to Safa. After coming on the Safa, we'll face the Kaaba, and then we'll raise our hands, but we'll raise our hands like in dua, not like in namaz. We'll raise our hands like in dua. and after raising our hands, we'll recite Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, and then we'll recite the fourth kalima, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa yumeet biyadihil khair wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. Then there's other du'as a person can recite as well. A person can find them in the book. Allahumma la ilaha illallah wahda wa nasara abda wa anjaza wa'da wa hazama al-ahzaba wahda. If a person can recite these du'as and learn them, then it is ideal. Thereafter a person will recite Durood Sharif, and after reciting Durood Sharif, a person will engage in dua. This also is a time of acceptance of dua. Now a person thinks, I've done dua when I've seen the Kaaba. I've done dua now after drinking Zamzam. I've done now I need to do dua again when these are moments to cherish.
When you actually breathe
and this is
out
not a moment to let go of your dua.
For it to
so that moment, sometimes you remember, oh, I should have made this dua. I should have made that dua. Remember these duas and make them at these times. Write them down if you need to. And then make duas at these. And every moment of these acceptance, make dua as much as you can. And if not for yourself, then at least for the ummah, because the ummah is in need of dire dua. So make dua, good 5 minutes dua, if not more, engage in dua. After we've done this now, we'll come down from Safa and we'll make our way towards Marwa. We'll remain engaged in dhikr. We'll remain engaged in dhikr. Any dhikr we can recite at that moment. Istighfar, third kalima, fourth kalima, etc. As soon as we come down from Safa, then within a short while, the green lights we'll see. There's nice bright green LED lights. Now you can't really miss them. Before there used to be the fluorescent lights, but now the green bright lights, so you can't miss them. So we'll need to run between the green lights. The men will run, the women will not run. The women will continue to walk at a normal pace. And this is to reenact the sunnah of, or the action of Sayyidah Hajar alayhi salam radiyallahu anha, and the difficulty she went through during the looking for water for her son Ismail alayhi salatu wassalam. At that moment when you're running between the green lights, then we'll recite Rabbi ighfir warham innaka antal a'azzul akram. This is also a sunnah dua where we should recite that. Oh Allah, forgive me, and oh Allah, have mercy upon me. Indeed, you are the most honorable and you are the most noble. So these are the green lights that you can see. So here will be Safa. As soon as you come down Safa, within a few steps, these green lights will start. So you'll start running a little bit before, and then you'll run until here just a little bit after. You start running a little bit before and you'll continue running to just a few steps after that, and then you'll slow down and then you'll carry on walking towards Marwa. Once you get to Marwa, we'll do exactly the same thing which we done at Safa, which was what? We'll climb onto Marwa, meaning up as much as you can. And as I said, you don't need to go all the way to the top. You don't need to go to the actual part. Just climb up, face the Kaaba, raise our hands like in dua, recite Allahu Akbar, recite La ilaha illallah, recite the fourth kalima, and then recite Durood Sharif, and again make dua. And then after making dua, we'll come back down and now make our way towards Safa once again. So this is Marwa. There's all the remains of Marwa, nothing else remains of Marwa now. So just kept this little bit. So you come up from here. So this is route coming up, and this will be the route going down from here. What we need to remember is we need to do this 7 times. So 7 times means Safa to Marwa is 1, Marwa to Safa is 2. It's not Safa to Marwa, Marwa to Safa. No, that's too long. And you know, your legs will really give in. I had somebody that came to me and he said, no. I said, look, if you want to do it, you carry on. I'm telling you the masala. If you want to carry on, you carry on. This is what it is. So he went his own way, and the other guy who was asking me as well, he did 7, and that guy, I don't know if he did full 14 or not. But Safa to Marwa, Marwa to Safa is 2. So a person, because it's 7, he'll start at Safa and he'll finish at Marwa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Marwa. Ideally, again, you should be in a state of wudu, but wudu is not a shart and a condition for sa'i. So if your wudu happens to break, it's no problem. You can carry on your sa'i and you don't need to have wudu. It's fine. You don't need to go out, make wudu, come back again, etc. Just carry on and continue as usual. There's different levels to the sa'i. You have the ground level, you have a second floor, you have a third floor as well. Ideally on the ground floor, sometimes it's too busy and they won't let you go into the ground floor and they send you upstairs. It's fine, go upstairs. But if there's space on the ground floor, then you shouldn't go to the second floor without any reason. Just do it on the ground floor. It's better to do it there. And last one is important. Don't say, oh, I'm too tired, I can't do it, let me get a wheelchair. If there's no excuse for a wheelchair and you because sa'i is tough, okay, sa'i is not easy. Tawaf is fine. Tawaf you'll do 5, 6 tawafs, no problem. Sa'i you'll do one and you'll go halfway through the sa'i, then your legs will start giving in and you say, oh, this is hard. But you need to persevere without any excuse of a person saying, oh, the people here pushing you, let's just sit in a golf cart. You have even golf carts now as well, and scooters or whatever else they're bringing in. If you start using that without any excuse, you need to give it a penalty, which will be you need to persevere without the people here pushing you, let's just sit in a golf cart. You have even golf carts now as well. Here is your sa'i, so you're starting here and you're finishing here. And then they've got the middle section here for the wheelchairs, and you'll need to go around. And if you can see, look here, this total of 7 rounds is nearly 3.5 kilometers. So it's a decent walk. So you continue in this way from Safa to Marwa, Marwa to Safa. Once you've done that, now your Umrah is finished. There's only one thing left, which is shaving your head. Okay, halaq or qasr, you can do either. For the men, women obviously they won't shave their heads. Only the men will shave their heads. But let me make this point that nowadays people have a habit just to trim their hair, and very few people actually shave their heads. Nana, sharam avet, getting rid of the hair, going bald. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after performing his Hajj, some people did halaq and shaved the head, some people did qasr and trimmed the head. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Rahimallah al-muhalliqeen, may Allah have mercy upon those who shave their heads. Those that trim their heads say, Ya Rasulullah wal-muqassirin, what about the people who trimmed? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Rahimallah al-muhalliqeen, those that shave their heads, may Allah have mercy on them. They said again, Ya Rasulullah, what about us? We trimmed our hair. Rasulullah said, Rahimallah al-muhalliqeen, may Allah have mercy upon those who shaved their heads. So they said, Ya Rasulullah, what about us? Rasulullah said, Wal-muqassirin, okay, and those that trim as well. So 3 times Rasulullah said, make specific dua for those who shave their heads, and then those that trim their hair, Rasulullah said, okay, you can get a little bit of the mercy. So it's important that we try to shave. We've gone there to give that sacrifice. Allah, whatever you want, we're willing to do. No itar, no clothing, etc. Shaving the head, what's the big deal? Shave our heads. Okay? A lot of people just trim, and it's not ideal. But if you are going to trim, you need to remember that you need to trim at least 1 inch of your hair. So which means if your hair isn't 1 inch long, for my hair, it's not 1 inch long. So I don't have a choice but to shave. I can't trim my hair. I have to shave my head. So if your hair is more than 1 inch long, then you can trim it as long as you trim at least 1 inch. If you're only doing a few snips here and there, then your trimming isn't done, and because your trimming isn't done, you're still not out of ihram. The rules of ihram still apply to you. So you need to keep this in mind, that best thing is you shave. If you're not going to do that, then you need to remember you need to at least trim 1 inch of not just 1 hair, 2 hairs, of all the hair of your head. Minimum at least a quarter, but you're not going to really do a quarter and then leave the rest. So basically the whole head. Women will just trim. How much will they trim? Again, 1 inch. They'll also do 1 inch. So what they'll do is either wrap make it into three parts, the hair and the plaits, make it into three parts, and then take an inch of each part, and then hopefully it should be 1 inch of all of the hair which is done. Be careful and be mindful that you're not only taking off the excess. Sometimes you have, you know, some hair which are longer than others, so it needs to be of at least a quarter of the hair of the head. So if it's only just a few of the long hairs at the bottom that they've taken an inch off and not the main bulk of the hair, then she won't come out of the state of ihram. It needs to be from the main bulk of the hair. Keep that in mind. And this, don't do it there in front of everybody. Do it in the privacy of your own rooms, because the hair of the women is satar. As for the men, the shaving area, if you're going to Azizia or whatever, then that's fine. But otherwise, if you're within the vicinity of the haram, then the shaving area is, if you go towards the clock towers, then as you're going towards the clock towers on the left hand side, so not the main entrance going into the clock towers, on the left of that there's a ramp going down. If you go down that ramp, then there'll be lots of people there, the barbers there. But before you get there, you'll probably be caught up by a few punters anyway, saying Haji Saheb, katne hai, umrah, chalo halak. So they'll probably take you there anyway, and they'll probably cut your hair there. So, but if you don't know where it is, just keep that in mind, that it's on the left of the clock towers going down the ramp. Just certain masail pertaining to women, inshallah. It's too much to cover, and we've still got a full Hajj left. We've only got one more day left. We might have to have a double session if you guys are willing to sit after Maghrib. Everybody's eaten. If you're not eaten, then it might be a bit tough. Women mas'alas. If a woman comes into this, her cycle suddenly starts while she's performing her tawaf, then she needs to stop and she'll need to just wait it out now, because it's like namaz. You need wuzu and taharat, and because she's in the state of impurity now and tawaf is done within the masjid, she can't stay in the masjid as well. She'll need to get out of the masjid and she'll need to finish off her umrah at another time. If during sa'i, so she can't even perform a sa'i after the tawaf because she's not done her tawaf yet. But if she's done her tawaf and then during the sa'i her cycle starts, then in this situation, because the mas'a and the place of sa'i is not actually part of the masjid, it's outside the masjid, although it's within a building, but Shar'i masjid, just as we have this masjid, Jamea Masjid, so the whole Jamea Masjid. But this is the actual masjid. The side rooms are not classified as Shar'i masjids. That's why the mu'takifeen are not allowed to go into the side rooms. So similarly in the haram, the area of the sa'i is classified outside the masjid of the actual Masjid al-Haram. So therefore she can continue doing her sa'i if she happens to, her cycle starts during the time of her sa'i. If she doesn't have an opportunity to perform her tawaf of umrah at all, and now the days of Hajj have started, then what does she do? In this situation now, she'll get out of her ihram. How will she get out of her ihram? She won't trim her hair, she'll just comb her hair, and if she's bun them up or whatever, she'll open it up and then she'll just comb her hair. And thereafter, she'll have to make an intention and the labbaik of the ihram of Hajj. So now her umrah ihram is broken, and now she started the ihram of Hajj, and she'll continue with all the actions of Hajj, no problem, because Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, that's not masjid, it's all outside. So she just continue as usual and do everything else that everybody else is doing, and that's no problem. And then she, after her Hajj is done, then she will need to make qadha of her umrah, which she had started before but which she was unable to do. And because she came out of her ihram without actually doing the umrah, she'll need to give sacrifice an animal as well, and she will need to sacrifice the animal within the haram. Our Umrah is done, we're waiting for Hajj. What shall we do whilst we're waiting for Hajj? So remain in Makkah Mukarramah. If we've got our setup is such that we're going to Medina and then we come back, that's fine as well. We continue praying our salat with Jama'ah. Spend as much time as possible in the Haram, not in the shopping areas. Shopping we do all the time. Here, Haram, shopping we can get here. Jabbals we can get here. Kajur we can get here. But the mercies of Kaaba, you can't get here. So spend as much time as possible within the Haram. Perform as many tawaf as possible. But remember, our main days are of Hajj. So don't tire yourself out. Don't try to do too much. And don't, overexert yourself such that when the time of Hajj comes and you're completely knocked out and you're tired. So, it's pointless. So keep that in mind. And go for ziyarah, towards the Ghar Thawr, Ghar Hira, etc. And try to visit those places as well. And wait for days of Hajj. If you want to perform additional Umrah, people like to do this, do extra Umrahs. So first thing I like to mention is, it's more rewarding to do extra tawafs than it is to do an Umrah. You've gone from Makkah to Masjid Aisha and come back and you've done one tawaf. In that time, you could have probably done 2-3 tawafs. So it's better that you stay in the Haram and do 2-3 tawafs rather than go there, come back. But if a person wants to, then he may do so. Then you need to, we're coming from outside, so we wear our ihram before we come to the miqat. Here we're in the Haram, where do we wear our ihram from? So we need to go out of the boundary of the Haram. The boundary of the Haram is that you have Makkah. So in Makkah you've got Masjid, which is also known as Haram. But the land of Makkah Mukarramah and around it is also known as Haram. The land of Makkah and the surrounding areas is also known as Haram. So we need to go out of that boundary. And then we'll wear our ihram from there. It's a place called Tan'im or Masjid Aisha. We'll go there and we'll wear our ihram from there. And then we'll come back and we'll do exactly what we just done and in the manner that we just done. If it's makruh time, then we won't perform our 2 rakats there. We'll just go there in the car, just make a round trip and come back. Just when we're out of the boundary, very quickly just recite make our intention, recite the talbiyah. We don't even need to get out the taxi. Just tell the taxi, look, for example, after Fajr, I want to go perform a Umrah. After Fajr, I can't perform 2 rakats until after sunrise. So just sit in the car, tell the taxi, go there. He'll take you out of the Haram boundary and so he'll take you over here. This is the closest one, Tan'im, which is around 4 miles away from Makkah. So this is the whole classified as a Haram. So he'll take you towards Tan'im 4 miles, outside the boundary where you say here, end of Haram boundary. Just go past this, literally stand there and say, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, and then come back. And that's it. Straight back to the Haram and do your Umrah. Inshallah. 5 days of Hajj, 30 seconds remain. We're not going to get much done. Inshallah, we'll continue after Maghrib. No, yes. It depends on you lot. You guys need to go. We'll get done tomorrow, but we probably won't finish tomorrow then as well. So we're going to have one extra session because yesterday was a bit tight. Does anybody need to go after Maghrib? Those that are going for Hajj Umrah and are unable to stay? No? Ji? Chalsa Maghrib pachi? Chalsa, inshallah. So we'll continue after Maghrib, inshallah. We'll do a little bit today, so then we're at least a bit back on schedule, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik.